Behind the Thread features honest, unscripted conversations with leaders who are willing to go beyond the highlight reel. This podcast brings together business leaders, founders, and change makers to discuss leadership, wellness, and life. We'll explore the logic behind decisions, the impact leadership has on the body and mind, and the habits that help leaders stay grounded, resilient, and real. If you're interested in learning how leaders actually think, live, and lead, this is where the real story unfolds. Let's take a peek behind the thread. Hi, and welcome to Behind the Thread. I'm Carrie Hable, the co-founder and the managing partner of Thread Advisory Group. I'm so excited to have Mr. Scott Kerby with me today.
I think I'm even more excited to be with you.
Awesome. So I am just super excited because, Scott, you have been my boss, my mentor, my customer now, and even my friend. So we have known each other for, I think, 20 some years. And I think it's 20 plus, which is crazy.
Are we old or do we just go back a long way?
No, we just go back a long way.
There you go.
And Scott is the chief owned retail officer. Is that the right title?
That's right.
Okay. From at Purple. And you have had an amazing career. You have been with all kinds of different brands, influencing leaders, leading teams, leading the organizations. You have been with, you'll have to correct me if I get any of these wrong,
all
but
right.
Old Navy.
Yes.
Sephora Canada.
Correct.
Bath and Body Works.
Right.
Both international as well as in the US and Canada. Correct. Right. Let's see. We said Sephora Canada. Who else am I missing?
I think just Purple.
Yeah, and Purple. So, and American Eagle.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember. So we've had a long history together. And again, you've been my mentor for so many different places in my career. It's just been unbelievable. I feel like every time I've had a career change, I have contacted you. And
you're too kind.
Yeah, you've either talked me off the ledge around some things, or you have really encouraged me to just kind of go after my dreams.
Sometimes you need a friend to give you a good push.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really fun to have you actually in the hot seat today, because I don't know if you remember this, but when I interviewed with you 20 plus years ago at Bath and Body Works, I was interviewing
Starbucks on Summit Ave in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah, but first, actually, that was our first introduction. But then I came to the office, and you had this sexy office in St. Paul. And it was like a wintry.
It was pretty ramshackle.
It was like a snowy day, I remember. And of course, I wanted to look good. So I bought these new boots. I had heels, good 2 inches for sure. And I come walking up the stairs, and you had all those beautiful hardwood floors. And I walk in the door. You told me you don't remember this, but I don't know how you couldn't, because I face planted the second that I walked
something
in.
I would have done.
I know. It was like crazy. So then I'm sitting there and I'm interviewing, and all I can think about is is my knee bleeding? Am I going to have a pool of blood on the ground? It was crazy. So I thought, he's never going to hire me. He's polished. He's professional. He's got this great office, and you hired me anyway.
A great partnership, friendship.
I know, right?
Started with a face plant.
Exactly. I can't believe you can't remember that, though. So anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. So let's talk about a little bit about your history. And you have worked for specialty retail. You've been in beauty. You've been in apparel, and now mattresses. So what attracted you to Purple?
First, I would say I think that I'm super fortunate that I've had a really long career in retail. Mm-hmm. It's been an honor working for the brands that I've worked for, and I'm really excited about what we're doing at Purple. I've been with the business now for 3.5 years, and mm-hmm. I would have never expected. Right, mattresses was never something that I had planned, yeah. And I'm excited that I joined, mm-hmm. and I've tried to take what could be a stodgy old category, right? Yeah. When you think of mattresses, you think about going to a department store, right. And a big mattress floor. And mm-hmm. I really think that customers are looking for a cool experience.
Right.
And at Purple, I think that our stores are amazing. They're beautifully designed. And Cindy's done a killer job putting them together. And I think that we provide a great experience. Cindy Speeders is the best.
Yeah, she is, for sure. It is a really cool experience. And quite honestly, I knew of the name Purple, but I hadn't ever really experienced the stores until 2-3 years ago, like when you joined. And it really is a wonderful experience, and you have fantastic talent. So congratulations. I know you've really grown
I'm excited about the people.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it probably a couple times, but, great retail starts and stops with great talent.
Yeah, exactly. So we will talk about that in a little bit later about the people and leadership. But tell us a little bit, like there's a lot of buzz right now around experiential retail.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little bit of a buzzword. So tell us like what your definition of experiential retail is, and what does that look like at Purple?
So if you think of retail right now, right, it's been a really tough 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
E-com was a really big thing. And I think that there's a right sizing going on right now with e-com. But, anything that is commodity driven, you can get online, and there's no reason to come into a store.
Right.
And for stores to be successful today, there has to be a great reason around providing an experience for a customer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're educational. They need to be a playground. But if you're just a place to transact business, it won't last.
Right, for sure. What could the customer experience, or what would the customers expect in terms of the experience at Purple?
So 90% of the customers stick their nose in the door, and they have heard about the brand, or a friend, family member has either a mattress or a pillow that they're kind of excited about learning more about, but they know nothing about the product.
Right.
So they kind of stick their head in the door and say, "Hey, what's this Purple thing?" And then we really try to take over really at the front of the store and really teach them about our product.
Sure.
So we kind of break it up into why Purple, like why should I know this brand? What is the brand? And then which Purple? Right. So you get them in the store and teach them about our unique product and the Gel Flex grid, and then try to get them on a bed.
Right.
That's really our breaking bread moment when you get them on a bed.
Right.
And that's when the magic comes to life.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of when I was with Estee Lauder and Bath & Body Works for that matter. Getting the product on the individual is so important. So it's definitely, as of course, you're likely not going to buy a mattress without jumping on the bed, of course, but.
Totally. And or coming in 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think about Bath & Body Works, though, this takes my brain way back.
Yeah.
But I think that if we got product on a customer's hand, like we did a demo and we touched the customer, there was like an 80% chance of converting.
Right.
Right. It's really big.
Absolutely.
For us, if I can get somebody on a bed or 2 or 3 beds, keep them in a store for 20 minutes, right, your likelihood to convert goes way up.
Right. Absolutely. It just brings me back. It was like, those are those fundamentals that I think about, so often, is just being able to touch the customer, having that emotional connection, I think is also really big.
For sure.
Is there anybody else that you're seeing in retail in general that's doing a really great job at that experiential retail?
Yeah, I think that there are some really young brands out there that are really cool right now. I think Todd Snyder's a great brand. He was the menswear designer at J. Crew, and American Eagle owns the brand, or is at least a part of shepherding the brand forward. And it's a great experience. Store design is fantastic. Yeah. My friends at Retail Union are helping them with their leases. And, their stores are just cool. Yeah. I was in Buck Mason last night, and they burn those really great sticks, and I'm drawing a blank on what the name is.
I know. I can't think of it either.
But you go in the store and they're playing records in the store. Yeah. And there's just this deep, sultry music going on. And then there's this great fragrance. And, I think that one of the founders' wives is an interior designer, which really shows up in the stores. Yeah. They may have an old Porsche in a store or an old BMW, but the experience is cool.
Right.
And then, going back to both your and my passion and beauty, right? You go to Sephora and, customers don't need to come into a store. They can buy every piece of product in a Sephora online. Right. And the experience in the store is what sets them apart.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. They're so knowledgeable. There's so many products too. So it's sometimes hard to even navigate. I mean, if you think about going online and all the beauty products and things like that, it's crazy. So get that experience is really special.
And if you can just, the minute that you put product on a customer in a Sephora store, you're going to convert them.
Right. Absolutely.
It's that simple.
So I know too, I think you've taken a page out of the playbook for Purple in terms of the experience at the front before you even walk into the showroom, where you've got the cart with the pillow.
The cart with the pillow.
Yeah, which I think is just brilliant to be able to do. Like take those lessons that work in some of the other retailers. Was that your idea?
So the interesting thing is we stole the cart idea from Lovesac, right? They've got a great cart at their front door that has, these little blocks on it that you can build sofas. And, it's just a place for the customer to stop. And then hopefully you can come engage with them. When you and I were at Bath & Body Works, we always had a demo cart at the front door, right? It wasn't about the product on the cart. It was if the customer stops, can you go interact with them?
Right.
And for us, putting a pillow at the front door, right? It's our hero product.
Right.
If you can get a customer to buy a pillow, they will come back and buy a mattress one day.
Right.
And so just putting that pillow out there and having them touch it. I always say pet the pillow, which is really weird. But if you watch the customers, they'll walk by and they'll come up and they'll be like, what is this thing?
Every time.
And our job then is to go say, hey, how are you?
Right.
Come in here.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
Great opportunity to drive traffic as well as convert.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. With Purple, can you kind of walk us through a little bit of the journey of Purple? Because you started in wholesale, is that correct? Did Purple start in wholesale? Like walk us through the journey.
Really, Purple started many years ago, 20 years ago, really in the medical space. And, if anybody knows our GelFlex grid, right, the grid is really the hero product. And so it kind of started out supporting burn victims in hospitals, moved into seat cushions, moved into mattresses, and has really just evolved. But it's more than just a mattress, right? It's a product that helps you with aches and pains. And 90% of the world, if you ask them how they sleep, they're looking for better sleep. They want longer sleep. They want more sound sleep. But, the typical person has an ache or a pain somewhere, right? My shoulder hurts. Right. I'm a side sleeper, so I can sleep on one side but not the other. And, the way a Purple mattress, cradles and supports it is really terrific with that.
Right. I love that. What, so when did you guys actually start to have stores?
Our stores are about 6 years old.
Okay. And how long have you been with Purple?
3.5.
Okay. So there's a few stores. How many stores do you have total now?
55 today.
55. Fantastic. What was that? I know you weren't there, but what was that transition like from going from, wholesale, and obviously you walked us through the journey, but the wholesale piece to brick and mortar?
Yeah. So we have 3 channels really within the business. We've got the wholesale business, the e-com business, and we really started with e-com before wholesale. Yeah. But we've got e-com, wholesale, and then the showrooms. And we'd really like to believe that they all work together, right? It doesn't matter if a customer is trying a mattress in my store or, in one of our wholesale partners. It's really about creating an experience as well as e-com, and we're kind of agnostic to where the customer wants to shop. Our goal would be get them on a Purple mattress somewhere.
Absolutely.
But all the channels should really work together.
How do you create that consistency from, within all of the channels, just that overall customer journey and the overall customer experience? How do you make that consistent?
So the marketing is really the thread that brings it together.
Okay. Thank you for using thread.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a thread type of some sort, right?
Right.
Yeah. So marketing, I think, creates the consistency, but look and feel between the stores, our wholesale partners do a terrific job, and, we support them with in-store assets to, create a consistent look and feel. Yeah. You might see an advertisement on TV for one of our wholesale partners advertising Purple. And, at the same time, you could see a Purple branded ad. And, it's all about driving the ecosystem.
Yeah. Love it. Do you have any advice for retailers? There's so many out there that are opening brick and mortar stores now that started as e-com or started as a wholesale business. You think of like Viore, Bad Birdie is here in Scottsdale. Just so many, Fabletics even, there's so many. Is there any advice that you would give those brands on, how to do retail stores well?
Well, I love a Viore store. I think that they're doing a killer job. Yeah. Alo's doing a killer job right now. But I think you have to have a point of view for a store to be successful. And, what was okay as, I'm going to call it being a dum-dum retailer when you and I were young, just doesn't last anymore. Yeah. And real estate is so expensive that, testing your way into a successful, retail footprint is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about a couple of the lessons that you learned or that I learned from you along the way. One was really about this merchant mindset. And I remember, I mean, every time we travel together, whether you're my customer or, back in the day when we would travel stores together, there was this piece around just having that merchant mindset. So you would always walk the wall or the mall. We would always look at all the different brands and, what they're doing. So tell us a little bit about the merchant mindset and how that has helped you in your career.
So my job is running stores,
Yep.
but I really believe I'm a frustrated merchant at heart.
Right. I think I would agree with that.
And I think that, just being curious, and it can be at a grocery store, it can be at Target, but just looking for nuggets that you can translate into the business that becomes something is really important. And our time at L Brands, is famous for, having their merchants go pattern the world, and having a really specific focus on what you're looking for is really important. But, patterning them all and just looking for, who's doing marketing really well, who's doing windows really well, and how do you steal it and take it back?
Right, exactly.
At L Brands, we used to say you don't have to be first, but you need to be a fast second.
Right.
And I really love just walking retail. Yeah,
I love that too. And you've taught me so much just in regards to that. Who do you think is doing it really well right now?
I just think that there is a number of retailers that are experiential that are just doing cool things. So Apple's doing a great job with their stores. You think about the traffic they drive into those stores. Everything in there is full price. Right. So they're doing a killer job bringing people in.
Right.
And there's only a handful though in a mall of great retailers that you walk by and you're like, there's something cool in there. I got to go see what's going on.
Absolutely. You can tell by the traffic that's in those stores too, what's going on in there.
For sure.
Yeah. Another thing that we've talked a lot about over the course of the decades that we've been...
The decades
that we've worked together is the focus on fundamentals. And so if there were 3 fundamentals that you think are just critical to the success of any, retail store, what would those 3 things be?
Well, I think the importance of fundamentals is to drive something that's repeatable, right? And you can't have a multi-unit organization if you're not consistent. And, your goal as a retailer is always to have, whatever the experience is in one store, it has to be the same in another store. So, if I was looking for a couple of great fundamentals, it starts and stops with talent. Right. You have to have great talent. A selling model is really important because that creates the foundation of how you interact with the customer. Right. And having a few priorities that make a difference and matter versus lots of priorities that, don't really move the business.
You were always good about keeping things in 3s, really simple focuses. You've got your 3 focuses, right, for Purple?
For sure.
Yeah, always keeping it simple and keeping it really to the fundamentals.
Yeah, and I think today, especially with AI, there's lots of ways to evaluate a business, and most of it becomes a distraction because there's too many things to look at.
Absolutely.
And, it's always been, can you get traffic in the door and then can you convert them into a sale? Right. It's really that simple. And it doesn't matter what else goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Keeping it simple.
People walking in and walking out with a bag.
Absolutely.
Right. If they're not walking out with a bag, you're not winning.
Right. Exactly. So true. So you've spent, decades in retail. I keep saying
Do you have to keep saying decades? Can it be a few weeks?
Yeah. We just, we got to highlight your experience. Mine too. So we're in the same boat. We've been in retail since we were in diapers, basically. But I wanted to find out just from you, because you had mentioned AI. So if you guys are using AI and how you're using it, because I think there's so much buzz around AI right now.
There is.
But also it's what are retailers actually doing around AI? So are you using AI? And then what do you see for the future of just retail in general? It doesn't have to be AI, but what do you think is going to change?
Let's take that in too. Okay. So I was at a mattress conference a couple weeks ago, and every session was about AI. It's like it's the new coming.
Right.
And I think that AI, if used properly, is going to help us speed things up,
right.
spend less time evaluating the business and more time getting insights and actions. Right. But I think that it can also be a distraction at the same time.
For sure. I think so too. I think there's so many people trying to chase AI right now, and including myself. Like I use ChatGPT, and then I started using Claude, and then I started using Lovable, and then Copilot. What I have found is like just learning all of those different tools is starting to create some inefficiencies for me because I'm starting to use multiple different things. So do you see any big initiative though with AI within Purple?
Yeah, I think we're using it a lot as a company, and we're using it to support looking at lots of parts of the business and finding ways to, shore up different areas where we have opportunities.
Yeah. Are you using it yourself?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
So my technology skills, right? And it's a very advanced Google in my book right now.
Right.
But
that's how you have to start, though. Like I started with ChatGPT, and it just for communication purposes and things like that. And then it's like, oh, well, now it can do this, and now it can do this. Then when I created Lovable, so our friend April she did a workshop on this tool called Lovable, and I could build a website in 4 hours.
Amazing.
It's just incredible. Where it took us, even just for Thread not that long ago, it took us 6 months to actually build the website. So it's kind of amazing, the things that it can do. But you want it to enhance the ability to drive, for retail anyways, drive execution and drive sales, not, hinder it or, recreate it.
Even personally, I think it can be kind of fun. I was in Italy, a month or so ago, and, you go to Florence and say, all right, chat, I've got 4 hours and I'd like to see 3 stops, and what should I absolutely see? And will you map it out for me?
Right.
And in like 30 seconds, you've got an agenda.
I know. It's crazy.
It's cool.
There's so many great benefits to it. There really is. It's also scary for a lot, especially when you're thinking about big organizations trying to use AI, getting people to use it in the right way, the security things that go along with it. Like there's a lot of different, considerations for sure. But
yeah, I think that it can take and point you in a direction. I would say, early on, a lot of the data is a little bit wrong,
right?
But I think that it will continue to improve.
Yeah.
And the more you use it, the more it'll improve.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. We only have a couple minutes left already. So I wanted to find out just from you, just in terms of like your overall, when you kind of think back to your overall retail career, what are the things that you think have changed the most?
Yeah. So when you think of retail, you and I both started in department stores, right? I started at about $3 an hour.
I know.
Right.
I think I was $3.35.
Yeah. So was I actually. And, retail was pretty unsophisticated, right? But retail goes back thousands of years to, when people were buying togas in Egypt, right? Like retail is not really all that different.
Right.
If you have, a great place to transact your business, you've got great employees that are excited about your business, you've got great product, it works.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's the same today as it was all those years ago. So, when I started out in retail, I would say you could be successful without being very good because there wasn't as many choices.
Yeah.
Today, that doesn't work.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. You walk in stores in a mall and, you're like, this is never going to work. And pretty soon they start, closing stores.
Yep. I know. We're seeing that a lot lately too. Great brands are starting to open stores, and some brands who have maybe scaled a little too fast or don't focus on those fundamentals and doing some kind of crazy things. You have to have
the right product.
Closing stores.
Right. If you don't have killer product, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
You can dance around it all day long. You can operationalize it. You can market it, but it just doesn't work.
Right. What's your favorite product at Purple? Speaking of product.
Well, we have some pretty killer mattresses, and I have tried several of them, and there's some killer beds. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I know we only have a couple seconds left here, so I wanted to do a little thing in all of my podcasts. I do a this or that. So I have 5 quick questions for you.
Okay, rapid fire.
Yeah, just go with your gut. No thinking too heavy here. So the first one is for mattresses: rejuvenate or restore?
So can I take this one a little bit longer?
Of course.
Okay. So Restore is kind of like buying a 911.
Okay.
Performance, it's fast, it's mean, it's a great product at a little bit better value.
Yep.
Right? Rejuvenate is more on the Cadillac version, where it's a little bit more plush, a little bit more luxury, but there's a place for both.
Got it. Which one do you have?
Both.
You have both. Of course you do. All right, good.
And frankly, I'll go back and forth. So, our office is in Salt Lake. I've had an apartment in Salt Lake for a couple of years that had 2 bedrooms and it had one of each. And so for weeks I'd sleep on one and then I would transition over to the other just because.
Yeah, just because you can.
Right.
Good. All right, next question. AI note-taking or pen and paper?
Pen and paper all day long.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
I've done a couple meetings, but pen and paper, for sure.
You're in your role because of your experience and what you bring.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and just from the learning standpoint, because I've had so much of the learning and development background, writing things down actually makes it stick in your brain.
For sure.
So it's not the same when you've got an AI tool doing all of your recapping. So
I still get up every morning and recap my business with a pencil and paper.
Yeah, good for you.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Right. I write down what happened yesterday, what the plan is for today, what we need to accomplish. Yeah. But it helps me know it by writing it down.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. All right. Next one is dress code or come as you are.
You know the answer to that. Yes. Dress code all day long.
Yes.
And I think that
Tell us why.
In my business, we've done a really nice job of really evolving the look and feel of a store. And, what your opinion of being professional is and mine could be very different.
Right.
But from a customer perspective, our products are expensive and they expect a professional experience. And,
absolutely.
It's important.
Yeah, that's always been important to you. It's one of the lessons that I've learned again from you. There's so many lessons. But I think that, just really making sure that you've got people that are polished, professional, can really represent the brand in the right way. So I think that's really important. And I know that that's something that you have shared with all of your leaders over and over again, just the importance of that.
And it's great for the employees too.
Yeah.
Right. You see people that move really fast through their careers and they're polished, they're professional, they're driven. It's important.
Yeah, definitely. All right. How about conversion or UPT?
Conversion all day long.
Conversion
all day long. So conversion really has nothing to do with the metric, in my opinion. It's really just a measure of what the experience is within a store. And stores that provide a terrific experience have converted a really high rate.
Yeah.
Stores that have problems don't.
Yeah. One of the things we didn't talk about is the ability to clientele. And I know Purple does that really well. And I'm so proud because you guys are still writing handwritten notes to customers and things like that. So it's really definitely part of that, that overall experience, which I think is really cool.
I think the department stores really started clienteling a few years ago, and I was really resistant to it. I hate walking into a department store and you'll see an associate leaning against a counter on their phone, right? And from a customer perspective, you don't know whether they're texting a friend or, doing business.
Right.
And, so I was pretty resistant to the transition, but I think that with all of the choices out there in the world now, when a customer comes in, it's a gift, right? They've come into your store to see you. Yeah. And then I think it's up to us to follow up with them in a meaningful way, not a pushy way.
Right. Exactly.
And we're learning a lot. And, even really helping young people, put together just quick notes to customers that are meaningful versus, do you have any questions and would you like to buy it?
Exactly.
That's
well, and
not
you had
great.
said earlier too that it takes sometimes 3 visits before somebody actually buys. Is that true?
For sure.
For a mattress. So.
And I really like having our stores near other mattress stores, right? So that your customer can go see the competition and then circle back to you.
Right.
And, I think you have to be confident in what you're doing to do that, so that you're not losing them to other retailers.
Absolutely.
But, it's amazing how they circle back.
Yep, absolutely. All right, last fun question.
All right.
Dress shoes or sneakers?
Can I say both?
You can say both.
So I think, I love dress shoes and, store floors are essentially concrete, right? And it's tough for people that stand on them for 8 hours a day.
Absolutely.
So,
that's why I have back problems now.
Right? In my stores, I don't want to see somebody wearing a pair of, red and green sneakers.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with a very professional, polished, nondescript.
It's so nice that that's kind of still on trend.
For sure.
Sneakers. And they might go out again at some point, but right now it's really nice that they are, because I love wearing my sneakers.
Well, and I would bet in, most people's closet today, there's probably more sneakers than there is anything.
Absolutely. For sure. All right. We are out of time already.
That was so much fun.
I know, the first episode. So the good news is we're going to bring you back for part 2. So next week, we will actually be able to see you on a kind of second journey. So
terrific.
We will be back, but it was such a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you.
It was just so excited. Yeah, it was super fun.
Went really fast.
Yeah, it did. All right. Thanks for visiting, and thanks for tuning in to Behind the Thread.